as one genre that kind of folded. Like in my notes, one of the things I was going to ask was, did you always want to do a film that featured good music and a theme of love? Like, was that always like the goal? Was that something that came later? I know I'm mumbling and rambling.
The soundtrack was always very important. Before Ghost Waits, there was ever a glimmer in my eye. I spent, like I said, I spent like 20 trying to do anything else, but I also spent them seeing movies all the time and thinking about it all the time and writing scripts. And you end up thinking about, like, if I made a movie, what kind of movie would I make? What's important to me? Soundtracks have always been a big deal. I mean, I love music anyway. I listen to it constantly. I'm a student of it. But, like, there's just something about like a needle drop that's just perfect, I don't know if you ever saw The Boy, not the shitty one with the doll, but like there was a movie that Clay MacLeod Chapman wrote that Craig William directed. Craig William McNeil. But it's about a kid who you're starting to see his psychopathy develop. And it planned to be this trilogy where he would grow up and become a serial killer, and you would see how it presented throughout different times of his life. There is a needle drop in that movie that, like, I had to take a lap. It was just like, you magical bastard. Like, that's incredible. Yeah, it's just, or Pulp Fiction, to go back to that. Like, the way he used music in those movies. And continues to. Like, he's very good at soundtrack of movie. But yeah, that was always there. And then, speaking of like that script that I wrote years ago that was like, okay, this is what I do, that was just drenched in like theoretical ideas of like, I'm so tired of how movies play. So it opened with the end credits. And because I'd had two experiences. One, watching Dancer in the Dark, where it ended, and then the credits started playing, and I was just like, I don't know how to like be a person right now. and then I saw Never Let Me Go at an advanced screening, and it also builds to a pretty devastating ending. And then the credits start playing, and this woman behind me, I heard her say, "So where are we going for dinner?" And I just wanted to like get up and turn around and yell, like, "No! They put you in a place and you stay there!" Like for a minute, like reflect on this. And it got me thinking about like, why can't you just like, start with the credits and then end on an image? Like movies used to put the credits at the start. Why can't you just build to something and then be done? And like, imagine if you could do a Dancer in the Dark and then like she drops and the movie's just over and like, okay, go about your day now. Like, come on. A buddy of mine got me to go to a screening of Ishi the Killer because I love Mike. It's one I haven't seen. So I went to see that and like, afterwards just walked around New York for like an hour and a half thinking about like the life that I'm leading. Like, the decisions that have put me in a place.
That is a tough one. If for the audience, if you haven't seen Ichi the Killer, I do think it is definitely cinema that you need to seek out, but it is not for. You're definitely not going to get your traditional film when you go see that, and I promise you will walk out though going, I've never seen anything like that before. Much like a Ghost Waits. Did you like Mike's most recent one, First Love? Did you happen to get a chance to see that one?
I actually have not seen First Love yet.
It's bananas. It is.
No, we went and saw Blade of the Immortal, and that was when we were talking. I think afterwards we were talking, and I revealed I hadn't seen Ishii. And he's like, "Oh, the Metrograph is playing it. You have to go." Okay. But yeah, so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of just like, well, I don't think I've ever seen this before. You kind of, hold all these ideas. So then, MacLeod and I had spent a year trying to make another movie, and just could never quite get the funds together.
Now, you guys have mentioned that, both of you, in interviews. If I may, can I at least know what that movie was about?
Sure. It's called There's Nothing Outside, and it is about a dinner party in Los Angeles. The host couple are inviting over her parents and some friends to announce that they're pregnant, and they have just, the house was a gift from her father, and it's this beautiful view of Los Angeles out the back window. And halfway through the party, they notice that the tea was gone. A void has descended, and it starts subverting reality. And the basic idea is like the fear of the unknown and how thoroughly you would have to erode the known before people will choose the unknown. I
have to see this film. Like because you watch enough stuff, it can be pretty easy for you to visualize. And as you were talking, dude, I need to see this film. Like, I hope that this eventually comes to fruition, because I would be there for that. That would be great. Like, I just picture the picturesque exteriors outside and vanishing as these people. Oh, dude, yeah.
It's been funny. Like the last year, like I've had so many friends reach out, just like, this would have been the perfect year to put out There's Something Outside. Like, no, I know,
dude,
I'm aware.
Oh my god!
It is not the filmmaker deciding when these scenes get made.
I mean, it's so true. And actually, for those of you that, if this is the first show that you push play on, again, this is part 4 of A Ghost Waits with Adam Stovall. Like, what I was saying is, like, it's so wild to me that you guys did principal shooting in 2016. You have a premiere last year out of the country, and then the whole world literally shuts down. And now we're seeing this film, and it kind of tying it to what he was saying, my ladies and gents of the audience. Like, it's, of course he wants to make it. It would have been a perfect year to make it. Sometimes that is just not how the filmmaking works in that regard at all sometimes. Like, and I mean, for me, I don't think I would have felt, well, maybe if I was in my early 20s, A Ghost Waits wouldn't have hit me as hard as it did in my 30s. Right. But, because timing is always everything. But again, just to blow smoke, I think, and I think I said it on the show with MacLeod, I do think what you've put together is timeless. And I started thinking about, I don't know if I did mention it on one of the shows or not, but I recall thinking, oh, this is a cult classic. And then the more that I thought about it, I don't want this to be a cult classic. Like, I think that this stands, and I really mean this, I think that this stands on its own very well, where it doesn't need to be, or I almost think it would be a disrespect to you and the cast and the crew and the film itself, is if it took a while for this film to find its feet, and it turns into an escape from New York or whatever, like something like that people are just like, well, at the time it was terrible, but now we just absolutely love it, like if I did say it on any of the previous shows, I would like to redact it, that I don't want it to be a cult classic film. I really want it to be something that is all encompassing right out of the jump. And I really hope that we keep generating the buzz, because I don't know.
I think it's a really great. Scorsese once said, like, the most personal is the most creative. Like, I think it's how we know we did something right, is that everybody who digs the people who dig the movie seem to think it's like a secret that we share. There's this concern that, like, oh, I hope it gets out to a lot of people, because, like, it hit me this way, and it's like, yeah, like, to go back to, maybe even your first question, but, like, when I was working on this for 5 years, it was just a project on my laptop. It was a thing that I was doing that all my friends knew about, and family would hear about, but, like, it was my own thing. Nobody else had seen it. And I mean, MacLeod was especially, like, as it went on, and he started doing the sound design. But for a very long time, this was just my baby. And so then, like, when other people start seeing it and they're just like, this is my baby, I love this movie. It's like, yeah, welcome to my club. Like, but I had no idea if anybody else would ever join that club, you know? And MacLeod and I had many conversations about, like, is this too specific? Is this too much? You know, he was concerned, I don't remember if you guys talked about this or not, but, like, he was concerned about the mental health aspect in his performance. He wanted to do more. And I kept saying, no, like, you know, I'm making something that reflects my experience. And, like, do you think I walk around being like Captain Sad Guy all the time? He's like, no, like, I'm often, I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm constantly working to not let you all know how much I'm struggling. You know, so, like, let that happen. But, like, you know, like, just trust me, you know, like, this is the thing that I know. Depression and anxiety, I got this. I think that people see it and it hits them so personally that there is this, like, I wanted to have this huge audience, but I also, you know, don't want it to, like, get subsumed in some huge cultural machine. I also just don't, you also just kind of can't let it get to your head. Otherwise, like, it does become subsumed and you do start thinking, like, oh yeah, I'm amazing. And it's like, no, like, we worked really hard, and but we always had the same North Star in mind. We wanted to make something that was simple. You mentioned timeless, which is a very lovely compliment. But I remember, like, again, I went to a film festival and I saw this movie that I won't name, but it was a romantic comedy it was really good. But the characters kind of spoke through pop culture. Their connection was demonstrated through pop culture. And a few days later, I saw Marty, which is the, like, 1950s movie that Patty Chayefsky wrote and Ernest Borgnine won his Oscar for. And I remember watching that, and, like, it is just two souls connecting. They never talk about music. They never talk about anything. It's just, like, it's these two middle-aged people who the fear of dying alone has set in, and they spark to somebody, and they just, like, there's no small talk. It's just like, boom, we don't have time to waste. And I remember watching that, like, okay, that's what I want to do. Like, oh my God. Yeah. So I appreciate it, but it was. Like, the reason that Muriel speaks the way that she speaks is a choice. I wanted it to be out of time. You know, wanting to do a black and white aesthetic, like, it makes it less tied to a moment. You know, yeah, I wanted to make something that didn't feel of its moment. And then, of course, it, you know, comes down, people are just like, it's so 2020, we're all haunting our home. Of course.
Oh, no.
But that doesn't go away. We're always haunting our home. Like, you know, I've always been an indoor kid. I was just prepared for this.
That's the same. Thriving.
Yeah.
The outside stuff was pretty tough to deal with, but in terms of just like, oh, so, like, it's okay for me to sit in and watch movies and take notes about that was the easy portion for me.
Yeah.
One thing that I found pretty, or that I guess I connected with you on going through some of the notes, is you said that when you were writing this, you wanted this piece to be the most honest thing that you had written. Did I understand that correctly? Did I get that right? That you wanted it to be okay. Yeah. So I want to, like, I guess I want to drive home the idea for the audience that is really hard to do and very emotionally exhausting when you are trying to be completely honest. For example, for me, not on the success level of you, but, like, writing this action film for this Malaysian director, he just added a new aspect to one of our main character, and I think he was riding a little high after watching Peaky Blinders, so this is why he reached out and contacted me. He's like, hey, man, our character's got to have PTSD. It has to happen. And I'm just kind of like, Right, man. That is exactly what I and here's the thing. Look, it's not my piece. He was nice enough to reach out and